Hi, this is Nick from Meeple Mythos. Join me at the table today as we play a solo game of Revenant, designed by Alan Kirkby and published by Mindclash Games. In Revenant, over the course of 4 rounds and 12 actions, we'll be trying to gain influence in 7 different houses, and by the end, hopefully score big points. You'll see whether or not I accomplish that at the end. If you like what you see during the video, please like and subscribe, and hopefully I can do a lot more of this. Enjoy. All right. We've got the game set up here. This is for a solo playthrough of just the base game. So no faith module, no reason module. Although maybe one day I'll do another playthrough with one of those modules. I haven't tried them yet. They look really easy to add in. But for now, this is just it, plain and simple solo. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to zoom out just a little bit so you can kind of see the entirety of the board and whatnot. Let me just fix this a little bit. And so you can see here, so this is the main board, right? Down here, I have my player board. I'll slide that up just a little bit so you can kind of get an idea of what it looks like. So here it is. I'll go through some of the more nuances of what my character does once I kind of finish teaching this. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and explain how to play the solo portion of Revenant. But the screen's not going to be this zoomed out all the time. This is just for the purposes of right now. So here's the main board. We've got a Revenant right there. That's the mothership, the ship we're trying to protect. But then around it, we have our Voidborn, our rifts that the Voidborn will be coming out of. And then we have our ships. So we have a few different types of ships. One of the main ones that we have are these arc ships here that you'll see. Now, these are the minis that come with the Admiral Edition. I did paint them recently. Don't knock my painting job too much. It's a little darker than I would have liked, but maybe I'll go back and repaint them. But these are the arc ships. We have fighters here. They do what they sound like. They fight off some of the Voidborn. Then we have drop ships, and these guys are going to be the ones that help land on some of these planets like this, and will give us some bonus stuff. And you'll see I'm going to be doing that quite a bit in this playthrough, just based off of what I've drawn for my character. So each of these sectors surrounds the Revenant, and we're going to be moving these ships around, trying to fight the Voidborn, trying to maneuver ourselves so certain houses' ships get blown up over others, and that's why we're going to be zooming in more like this for the rest of the game. So let me just zoom back out and show you guys some of the other things. Right over here is going to be the house board. I will show you guys as I update this what happens, but basically this is the game, right? This is where we will be taking all of our points at the end of the game. You're going to get a vast majority of the points here, and then we're going to get some smaller points with cards we've played, if you have completed your secret objectives, stuff like that. So mostly here. And the way that works, again, is this little metal token here, right? This is saying how many ships of this house are on the board currently. So in House Dunlork, we have 3 ships. And so as these ships come out onto the board, get destroyed, what we're going to see is these are going to come off. And now there's only 2 ships, for instance, if this particular ship got destroyed. And so that now means at the end of the game, you will have a certain number of points times this value. So if I'm playing blue and I got this up to 6, then I would do 6 times 2. I would get 12 points for that singular house. So the houses you are higher up on, you want to make sure that those houses have the most ships on. And with that, you want to make sure your enemies don't have ships on their highest houses. Now, the solo works a little bit differently. So this isn't going to be a full playthrough or full teach of Revenant, the board game as it stands. This will be teaching the solo mode for Revenant. If you don't know how to play Revenant, you can continue watching this video, and you should get a really good feel as I kind of play throughout the rounds. But also, you can go ahead and go to Gaming Rules. Paul Grogan has a fantastic official how to play video. and he outlines everything really well. But he doesn't have the solo rules in that one. So that's kind of what this is for. Okay. So with that being said, over here is going to be our um, uh, phase board. So as we go through the phases, this little marker here that you can hopefully see is going to go down, and we're just going to go through phases. And Tool has done a great job at kind of implementing a phase tracker. And then we have what we're going to be doing in each of those phases here. And finally, we have our end game points down here that we're going to tally up, and a tactics track. And the tactics track does give us a few things, but really what it does, especially in a multiplayer game, this determines player order or first player order, as well as in the game's solo and multiplayer, who gets to decide where damage goes on ships. And let me tell you, that's an important decision to make, especially in a multiplayer game when you really don't want a certain ship destroyed. So that's kind of what we're looking at as far as the board goes. So let me go ahead. I'm going to zoom back into just the board itself, like so. And I'm going to go ahead and explain the solo rules. It's really, really simple. The solo player has a couple of these pieces. So they have the captain, which they call the harbinger, and that's going to be important because the harbinger will be the one placing corruption on ships. And oh boy, that's always a bad thing. And then we've got our other corrupted crew members. So they place 3 just like we place 3. And then on top of that, we're going to have, and I'm going to show you guys the way it came out. So let me just move the Revenant really quickly just to give you guys an idea of what this looks like. So you have a very easy solo setup where you have these 4 cards, you shuffle them up, and then you just put them in a 2x2 grid with this little token at the top in the middle of them. And basically you're going to take their marker that a player would use for their captain, and they are going to move this around. And basically this is going to tell you which ship they're going to land on or try to land on. And then they've got their own house influence cards. So they're going to flip a card over. I'll show you guys what the card is. And basically what they're going to do is, if let's say they flip over the yellow card, then on this turn, they will move this token from here to here, and they will try and land on a yellow dropship. So in that case, if there isn't a yellow dropship, and at the beginning of the game there is, then what would happen is we would do it again. We would move this token and check to see if they could land on a yellow arc ship. If they can't do that, they're going to try and land on a yellow fighter. And then again, if they can't do that, then they're going to move across. And every time they move across this token, they're going to move up on the tactics track. And what they have is they actually have some benefits for going up on the tactic track more than just player order. They have this handy dandy little sheet. So whenever they go up on 6, 8, 10, or 11 or 12, they're going to basically force me to get rid of some of my influence. I will be going up on the track. So it's not all bad, but it does kind of give them an idea, because a lot of the solo bots decisions are made based off of how high I am on certain tracks. And then if they land on 7, 9, 10, 11, or 12, then they're going to do, I forget what the name of it specifically is, but basically they're going to flip a card over and they're going to gain influence, and they're going to try and protect a particular ship out on the board with one of these markers here. And these are just fancy markers to say, hey, when a Voidborn tries to do damage in this sector, we're going to take that off first. So that's how that works. Okay. Now let's say if the Revenant also had all its spaces filled, and this can happen later in the game, especially in rounds 3 and 4, and they get back to this point, so they try to do this 4 times, then they lose and forfeit their turn. Which, of course, in a solo game, that's, hey, I like that, right? And you can manage to do that. But other than that, their turns are really quite simple. When they land on one of these ships, they don't really do much. What they will do is going to only include the Revenant ship and the drop ship. The arc ship and the fighters, they actually don't do anything other than take up space and possibly add corruption, but they don't fight any Voidborn, and that can be a real problem because what's going to end up happening is you're going to see a lot of these sectors over here are going to get swarmed if we're not careful with it, since we as the sole player are the only ones kind of taking care of the ships. So we have to be really careful about that. But they don't really destroy anything. And if they land on those two ships, they don't do anything. If they land on a drop ship, they will take that drop ship to the closest planet, right? So depending on which drop ship it is. And then finally, they will land on the Revenant. And if they're on this A side of the card, what they're going to try and do is land on a ship, land on the portion of the Revenant, which is this action here, which basically they are going to place a new ship from their favorite house out onto the board. And if that space is taken, they will go here, but they won't do anything except for flip the card. And so now what's going to happen is every time they land on the Revenant, they'll flip this card back and forth, back and forth. And if they land on the Revenant again during a turn, they will then go into hypercharge, I believe is what it's called. And when they go into hypercharge, they will essentially push these markers so that way we warp out of this area, which can be good. Depends on, where you're at in that phase. You may or may not want them to do that. But it is important for that to happen at least once throughout the game if you don't push it. So I'm going to move this back out of the way. But you'll see that stays the same. So these cards don't get reshuffled throughout the rounds or anything like that. They just stay in the same order. So you can kind of plan out a little bit ahead. But that's about it. And so for the first few rounds, I'll show you guys kind of how that works. And let me just go ahead and put this Revenant back into that space. And that's kind of how the solo bot decides where to go and whatnot. Now, the other part of setup for the solo, most of this is really similar for solo versus multiplayer games of Revenant. But these cards right here, the hidden influence, you actually set this up very differently in a solo game. So what you actually end up doing is you have these little pockets. Let's see if I can find one really quick. I put them away. But you have these little pockets, and you actually separate all the house cards into the individual houses, like all of the cards. And you put them in these pockets, you shuffle those pockets up, and then you take out the house cards, and you will take 5 of one house, you'll take 3 of another, 2 of another, and 7 of another one. So that way you basically have 17 cards here. And one of those houses they have favored. Now, I don't know what those are. It's kind of the point of the pocket, so you don't actually know as you go along. But you can get an idea, right? Probabilistically, right? You're flipping over a card that's most likely out of the 17 cards, one of the higher values. And so it's a nice way of kind of going, okay, well, if they've got a bunch of those cards in their deck, chances are I won't be grabbing those cards when I can grab hidden influence from the actual deck, which I have off to the side here. And so that's kind of what's going to happen is they're going to flip these cards, and we'll get more and more information as the game goes on. Other than that, there's not much that they are going to do. At the end of the game, they'll add the last 5 influence because we each take 12 total turns. They're going to add the rest of their influence to the track over here and then tally up their scores. And that's kind of the gist of it. One of the things that I'm going to be trying to do is showing you as many of the cards as possible and try and leave it out. Again, this game takes up quite a lot of space. So to kind of give you an idea of what I mean by their cards, so these are the 2 influence cards that I'm starting off with. So one, I'm just going to call them by their colors, dark blue and purple, lavender, however you want to call it. And so these are 2 cards that I'm going to want to think about going up on. Now, I'm going to try to gently move this without dropping anything, just to kind of show you guys what's going on with the board. Oh, look at that. I did it. So this is, again, a better view of the board, right, of our house board. And so you can see that they're already way up 2 spaces on every track. And that's because today I'm going to be playing on the normal difficulty. On the normal difficulty, there's not much of a difference in gameplay at all, other than they start here at 2 instead of 1. And then over on the tactics track, you can see they start over here at 5, and they would have started at 3 if they were playing on quote unquote easy. So that's really the only difference. So it kind of, in a weird way, makes my decision slightly easier in what to go for right away, because I'm going to get a choice to place my ship out somewhere, and wherever I should say, I'm going to get to go up on one of these tracks, and whichever track I go up on, I get to place it somewhere out here. Now, in this easy game, you might want to try and, especially at the very beginning of the game, you don't know which tracks are going to go up on. So I might go up on green, hoping to get one of these tokens that pushes me up on the tactics track, because that first one's still available, but they might catch it before you. So this almost makes my decisions a little bit more free. But these are my 2 hidden influence. So if you've seen any other gameplay of this game, then you're probably going to notice that most people will try to go up on one of these 2 tracks. Also, since I have both of these cards, chances are that, these houses are not one of the larger houses in the solo AI's deck. Again, I could be wrong. I'm also often wrong about those kinds of things. I'm not very good at this game. So we're going to see how it goes. But I'm sure every person who posts videos on YouTube says that, and then they win. So other than that, I think we're going to go ahead and get started. One of the things that I need to do before I get started is I need to get rid of 3 Voidborn for the solo game only. I need to get 3 Voidborn out of different sectors. So it's not 3 in one. It's not 2 in one and 1 in another. It's in 3 different sectors. In future rounds, when we have warped, then you will be able to take out 3 ships from any sector. So you could take out 3 ships from one sector if you want to. So if we kind of look again at what we've got, I think what we're going to go ahead and try to do is we're going to, in this game, try to land on a bunch of planets, because my captain not only has some extra benefits when they land, but as we upgrade, we'll get to see that we can land on planets that already have a person on there and get an additional data cube, which helps us get more hidden influence. But we also can remove Voidborn. So again, that's going to be extremely helpful whenever we use a dropship. And so we're going to want to be able to do that, not only because we like that ability, but let me show you guys what I got as far as my cards. So these are my end game objective cards. So this is, you guessed it, have your commander, your captain, upgraded all the way. And this is having 4 drop ships left on the board at the end of the game. So both of these really leaned really well. And this was all random, so it wasn't chosen, which is really funny. And so that's just how it's going to work out for this particular game. So I'm going to be trying to land on some drop ships and upgrade our captain pretty quickly there. Okay. First player has this little token here. We don't really need the other tokens that tell us what the player order is, because there's only 2 of us, and since the AI is currently higher on the tactics track, they are going to get that. And so now we're going to go ahead and start. So I'm going to draw these 3 cards. This is, as you can see, 1 command card, 1 frigate card, and 1 cadet card. And at the beginning of the game, you can choose to get rid of any one of these or all of them and draw a new one, kind of like a mulligan. But let's kind of walk through some of what we're seeing here. So on this one, brain stimulation, it's going to cost us 2 science and 1 of anything else. It's a command card, so it's just a one-time thing. And so you can see that we can either play a cadet card for a 0 cost, or we can upgrade our captain. So this is already looking quite good. And then that blue arrow tells us what to do afterward, which is to grab a new card. Since there's no symbol on that card, we get to grab whatever card we want. The next card is a frigate card, 2 material and 2 neutronium, as you can see there. Let me see if I can turn the lighting down just a tad. Oh, no. That's the other way around. There we go. So, this one, when you use your frigate, you're going to get 2 additional damage. Ooh, that's really good. And it gives you an additional ability, which this is a bonus action, which is saying whichever sector your frigate is, that's the equals sign there, then you're going to go ahead and get rid of a Voidborn. And whenever we get rid of Voidborn, we are going to go up on the tactic track, so that's always really nice. And then finally, the last card we drew is the Surveyor. 2 energy and 2 science. What this is saying is that if you end up mining at a planet with this character, with this cadet, then you will also gain 2 science at the end of that particular action. And then you get another additional bonus action that's available to you. Not that you get to take it, but if you choose so, then you get to one time play a card for a discount of 1 resource. And then you get to draw another card, which is really nice. Drawing cards in this game is quite good. And so what I think I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm definitely going to go ahead and keep the brain stimulation, because that free upgrade to captain is going to be quite big for us. And I'm going to go ahead and keep this shrapnel cannon because, like I said, in my experience, it can be quite difficult to deal with the Voidborn. So if I can get quite a bit of stuff. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to get rid of this cadet and just draw another cadet. And I got this Empath. Let's see. A friend of mine got this card last time we played and really went up fast on some of these tracks. So basically, at the point at which you are going up on one of the tracks, if you have 2 or less favor or influence in that track, then you also get an additional 1. So it can really ramp up early game stuff really quickly, which is nice. And then it has an additional component there, which is kind of what I'm looking for, because I'm probably going to be landing my dropships with my captain and not my cadets. But this is I forget what they call it, a friendship, a friendship thing. And so when you land on one of the arc ships that has that icon, then you can either get an additional resource of that type you are grabbing, or just get an energy, and then in that sector or a sector adjacent to it, you can place 1 shield token. So I'm actually quite happy with this set of cards. And so let's go ahead and see what we're going to go ahead and do. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to have them take their turn. So here's how that works. We're going to first flip over a card. So this is their card. And so they are going to favor green. And so what they're going to then do is go up once on green. And so in my mind, I'm immediately thinking, okay, they're probably going up on green for the most part. And then on that track, they're going to move around. So they're going to try and land on a drop ship for this particular turn. So when they try and land on a drop ship, like I said, they are going to take their Harbinger, their captain, if they have it available, and they're going to try and find a green dropship. So excuse me while I try and here it is. And so what they're going to do is they're going to land right there, and they're going to try and find the nearest space to land on the dropship, which happens to be right here. And so they're going to just take this and go right, and then they're going to take this cube away, which is always sad for me because I kind of wanted to land there to get some extra resources so I could go ahead and play this frigate card for that additional stuff. And so that's going to be what they do. That's actually all they do for their particular turn. So it's, like I said, it's really quite simple. Now, they did land on a Harbinger space, or sorry, they used their Harbinger space, so they are going to take and corrupt this ship. Now, what that basically means is, 1, this corruption is available for me to take whenever I do, I'll show you with this. Whenever I do an action that looks similar to this, where I can take corruption and put it onto this board, I can take it from anywhere, including that ship. And so that does give me some options. But also, if I happen to go there on a future turn, then I will take corruption close to the end of my turn, which is it's not bad. It's not necessarily the end of the world kind of thing, but it is what it is. Now, I did forget to do something, and this is my first mistake on my first video already. And that is I forgot to place my frigate out with a region of a person that I would like to go to. Okay, with that being said, I think what I want to do is I might want to go with... Here's the blue, the dark blue. Again, here's my two cards, right? So that's the dark blue. And this particular ship, what this one lets me do is I'll pick it up and show you, is the top part says that I can get rid of a card and then copy a space of a colony that's already been drop shipped. Or the bottom part is I can get rid of a card and copy an arc ship ability that's already had a worker placed on it. So that's good, especially since I'm planning on going on the ships. But also the other option, especially seeing that I have that cadet card that gives me some options here, is this one is I can get rid of 2 of any resource to get 3 of any resource. And then it has that little friendship icon. Or the bottom part is I can play a command card for 1 less resource, and then I can grab a new one. So I think what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and go up on that purple, which means I'm going to place this right here, my frigate right there. So that was my mistake. Sorry about that. And then I also just realized I made another mistake. I have to take off 3 ships because I hadn't done that quite yet. So it has to be in 3 different sectors. So I think what we're going to go ahead and do is we're definitely going to take one off of here, and we're going to take one off of here. And then since this location has 2 of those purple ones, I'm going to take another one off of here. Okay, so sorry about that. I had said it and then totally forgot to do it. I probably should have done it while I was saying it, just so that way I hadn't forgotten. But that's that. So now I'm going to go ahead and go. And one of the things I think I want to try to do right away is I do want to try to play this card so I can get my commando or my captain leveled up faster. One of the other things about leveling up your commando or your captain, I don't know why I keep calling him commando, your captain, is they also allow you to draw better influence cards whenever you do draw it, which can help for endgame scoring. Now, in order to do that, I'm going to need 2 science, and I'm going to need 1 of any one resource. And at the beginning of the game, we start with 1 of everything. So what I'm looking at is I think I might want to go here because they have this action, which is to play a card for 1 less resource, and then I can draw another card. So what I think I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to take just 1 of my cadets, and I'm going to go here. And so then the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go up in influence on that track. So there I am. And then what I'm going to go ahead and do is do this action. So I'm going to go ahead and play this card, and it's going to cost me 2 and 1. But the resource I'm going to discount is going to be this science. So I'm just going to pay 1 and 1, and I'm going to pay a science and a neutronium. And the reason why is because the energy and the materials I need for the other 2 cards that I'd like to play. So I'm just going to put that off to the side. Fantastic. All right. So I get to play that, and then I get to do the thing right away. So I'm not going to play a cadet card, although maybe that might be more beneficial than going up on the captain. Ooh, you know, that's a tough one. Yeah, I think I want to go up on the captain. I definitely want to work towards that ability. So I'm going to move up on the captain, and then I get to draw another card. I am going to draw another command card. I really like these command cards in this game. And so I'm just going to put this off to the side because I completed it. And so this is the card I just drew. It's called Tides. Just 1 resource. And basically, I think what this is saying, if you have 5 or more tactics, then you get 1 of each of those resources. So I'm going to want to go up on those resources or on those tactics tracks. Okay, After you're done with activating that action and checking to see if you have any abilities that activate after taking certain things, then what we're going to do is we're basically going to see if it's corrupted. So this is not a corrupted ship. We're okay. We're then going to go look at the board, and it's going to tell us to take an extra action. So I have all of these actions available except for this one. This is the only one I have unavailable. The corruption marker lets me not use it. Now I could get rid of it by doing this bonus action, which is get rid of a card, and I can get rid of it. But this is a really good action when you have two, because this is an and or. So you can get rid of both, one for just getting rid of a card and another one for getting rid of an energy. So I think I don't have enough resources for anything. So what I can actually do is, I think we're going to have to do this. I don't have much that I can do here. I do have an ability on my captain board, but it's not going to be very beneficial for me right now. And that's this one right here, which is I get to go up twice on the tactics track for every person that I have on a planet. I don't have any on the planet yet. So not the most useful thing to me right now. I don't have enough energy to go up again on the command track, and I can't get another resource, which is an issue. So we're going to go ahead and do this one. And I think the card I'm going to go ahead and get rid of is going to be that Tides card I got. I'm kind of far away from getting to that 5th thing, so I'm not going to be super worried about getting that. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this. And that's going to let me get rid of a thing. And so I'm definitely going to get rid of it from here, and that just goes there. And again, whenever you fill up all three, you get a hidden influence. So once you've done all those parts of the turn, and again, you can always get rid of a influence, a hidden influence, in order to get a singular resource, then your turn is done. So that takes a while in this format, right? So we had to go here, we do all this stuff, but it's actually the smoothness of the game actually you'll start to see in just a second. So we're going to go ahead and take the next turn. So we're going to go ahead and flip their card, and it's going to be a red. So they're going to go up on the red track. And then what they're going to go ahead and do is move their cube, and they're going to try and land on a red arc ship. So the red arc ship is right here, and so they're just going to land there. And now they don't do anything with an arc ship. They just take up that space. Super annoying. It is what it is. And so what's going to happen is there's not going to be a corruption placed here because it's not their harbinger. It's not their captain piece. So we don't need to worry about that. Okay. That's it. That's their turn. And now it's back to us. So you can see the solo mode for this is really quite nice. And they do, I think it does a good job at kind of fighting you off for certain things. And you'll see more as we play throughout this in just a second. But I'm going to go ahead and take my next action. And I haven't really thought about it yet. I do want to try to get this card played sooner rather than later, so I can start going up on some of these tracks a bit faster. And so what I need is an additional energy and two more science. So I'm actually thinking we go right here. Remember, this particular action, not only do I have that hidden influence, but that action, if I get rid of a card, then I can go ahead and copy the spot of another person. And so I can go ahead and copy that place that I've done, and I can get 3 resources, right? So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to go ahead and take another cadet. I'm going to go here. So that's first part. Then you go up on that track. So I'm going to go up on the dark blue. And then we're going to go ahead and do this bottom action. So I'm going to get rid of this frigate card. I know we wanted to kind of play it, but it is what it is. And we're now going to do this action. So I get rid of 2 and I get 3. So I'm going to get rid of a material, and I'm going to go ahead and get rid of an energy. And I get to take 3 resources. So I'm definitely going to take a science, and then I'm going to take 2 energy. So I'm back up to 3. And whenever you get resources, you can actually rearrange, because one of the things in this game is where those corruption markers go right here. The corruption marker actually prevents you from placing resources there, as well as taking them off. So for whatever reason, you put a resource here, and then you took one of those corruption markers, and they went right there. You're kind of out of luck. You're not going to be able to take that resource until you remove this. But whenever you gain resources, you can maneuver them, except for, of course, the ones that are in the corruption. So if you know you're going to get a corruption, you might want to move it out of the way. Okay. So I've got that. That was my action. Now notice how, even though I took the action of this particular arc ship, I only went up on this because it's wherever you place your worker. So that's that. And so now we're going to, again, look at the board, and we did our action. If it was a corrupted ship, then we would take care of we would gain any corruption. And now I get a bonus action. And what I want to go ahead and do is I want to go ahead and do a bonus action, which is to play a card. So that's going to be this second option right here. Now, if you happen to play a card with a house affiliation of the same type that you just placed on, which unfortunately I did not, then you get a discount. Or, ooh, I just realized I'm not going to get the discount that I thought I was going to get right now because of that whole situation. Ooh, okay. Then in that case, what we're going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and get 1 extra resource, and that'll be the science that I need. Then maybe later we can set ourselves up a little bit better. So that was my fault. I didn't realize that. Oh, you know what then? I think what I'm going to do is kind of reverse back a little bit. And I think what I want to do is, instead of taking the 2 science, or the 2 energy and the science, I think I'm just going to take, just take all science. So I have 3 science. And then as my action, instead of gaining another resource, I'm going to go ahead and spend these 3. And then I'm going to go up on my captain. Captain, oh captain. There we go. So that's what I did. I went ahead and did that. So now we can see I'm on level 2 of my track. So I will draw 3 cards whenever we get the refresh. I now get to draw 3 hidden influence and pick 1. And then when we reset tactics, I get to restart on the 2 space instead of the 0 space, which is good. I mean, I haven't gone up yet, but I'll be going up, I promise. And now, not only do we get that bonus when we land on a ship, but then we also get to remove 1 whenever we take that drop ship. Now, it doesn't say here, and I can look in the rules in just a second, but it doesn't say whether or not this ship has to come from the sector, but I'm going to go ahead and treat it like that as it stands, just because it seems to make sense, the most sense to me. Okay, and so now we're going to take the bot's final turn. It's going to be red. Okay, well, it looks like maybe red is their preferred choice, so we might want to start thinking about destroying some of the red ships. And so that's going to go here. They're going to move their token. They're going to try and land on a red fighter. So we're going to look for the red fighter. It is right here. And again, they're not going to do anything. So that's it. That's their turn. It's pretty straightforward. So now it's back to us. And now we have our level 2 captain. So we definitely want to do something. And I'm thinking actually landing somewhere here. So if we take, there's not very many good drop ships around here. So this is an orange drop ship. We don't have any influence there quite yet. And then here's a red. So the drop ships don't move super far. My captain does let me move an additional time. So I'm looking at maybe this drop ship for yellow. Again, I mean, preferably we would have wanted to do purple, or even this blue here. We could maybe land over there. That gives us some damage absorption and an energy. But I'm actually looking at this particular action right here because it gives us a resource, and it lets us move up on that tactics track. And we haven't moved up on that tactics track at all. And we could kind of fight them for red. I don't want them necessarily to run out on red alone and get a bunch of points at the end because they're trying to protect that. But I can also try and maneuver some ships. So, for instance, I'm going to be able to pick, when it comes to the skirmish phase, what happens to damage in my sector and the 2 sectors next to me. So chances are I'm going to go ahead and try and destroy red. So if I do that. Now, if I move up on the tactics track and I am above them, so if I'm way above, then I can go ahead and not only pick the sector where my frigate is and the sectors next to it, but also 1 away from it as well. So a total of 5 sectors, which is preferable. So one of the things you can do is, as your character, you can move through these sectors. I'm going to be honest, strategy-wise, I don't know why that necessarily matters. It seems to be the same amount of distance because you still have to move orthogonally. So this is still 1, 2 versus 1, 2. So not 100% sure on how that works exactly. And a lot of the playthroughs I've seen, nobody's really done that either. So if you could move diagonally, then things would be much different. You could move across the board pretty quickly. So I think what I'm going to go ahead and do is I want to take my captain, and where am I? I'm on dark blue. I'm on lavender. I could go here and I could go ahead and get 2 more resources. But I think what I want to do, I'm trying to think of what I want to do as a bonus action as well, because I get extra resources. So, like, I could go here and I could not only protect some ships, but then I could, yeah. Okay, we're going to do that because that's going to give me 2 data cubes. And I think that's going to be really worthwhile. And I need to protect some ships right now. The more I protect my ships, the better. So we're gonna do this, and then we're gonna just land right there. And you get the option. You can do, and I'm gonna bring this card closer, and I'm gonna take this just because it's mine now. And so you can see we have 2 options. The top one is, we'll call it free. So I get to place 3 in any sector, in 3 sectors anywhere. That's what the infinity sign is. I get to place a shield token, and or you gain an energy. Now the bottom action is I get an energy and 2 neutronium, but I take a corruption at the end of that. And for now, I'm not really too keen on that. I don't really feel like I necessarily need to do that. And so we're not going to worry too much about that. Now, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of a ship from this sector because I did use a drop ship according to my captain, which is going to move me up once on the tactics track. So I am moving up still. That's kind of why I'm doing this action instead of this action. And then I get an additional data cube from my captain. So that's how all of that kind of works. And now I'm going to go ahead and get some of these protection tokens out. And we need to figure out what we're going to do. So I'm not going to necessarily be able to pick this. So I think what I want to do is I want to place, what's he going to go for? He's going to try and hurt this ship. So and I'm going to be able to decide here. So I'm going to place another one here because there's 1 ship here. And then let's place one. I'm going to place another one here. Just to try and protect those ships. Because he will try and attack mine way before he tries to destroy his own ships. Okay. So that's that. And then I get my 1 energy. So I'm going to get my energy. Then again, I'm going to check to see if I did a corrupted action. I did not. So not only did I not land on a corrupted ship, but I didn't do the corrupted action on the colony. And now we're going to go ahead and take a bonus action. So I don't have a whole lot that I can actually do because I actually, you know what I could do is I could do my captain's bonus ability, which is, and I'm just realizing too, I also get an additional resource here. So I think what I'm going to go ahead and take is a science, just branch out. But I can do this, and this is, I move up twice on the tactics track for every person that I have. And so I have one. So I'm going to go ahead and do that as my action. And if I can put this back in, and then I'm going to go ahead and just move up 1, 2. And so I'm actually going to go ahead and get an additional resource there. So would you look at that? Would you look at that? I like it. I like it a lot. Okay. So now we've actually finished all 3 of our actions, and that's it for the action phase. So now we're going to go ahead and move into the refresh phase. And so the way that works is we're each going to just retake our workers. 1, 2, and 3. Okay. And then we're going to remove ships off of these cards. And then if this was also occupied, we move it off. We're not filling up the cubes yet. We don't do that quite yet. And then we're going to redo turn order if it needs to be redone. It doesn't at this point, so that's it. And then we move on to the skirmish phase. So the way that this would normally work in a multiplayer game is wherever the frigate is of that person always gets to choose it. Then it's kind of based off of turn order. So for instance, right now in this particular game for solo, I'm not ahead of him on the tactics track, so I'm going to be able to choose where damage goes here, here, and here. He's going to be able to pick everywhere else. So we're going to go ahead and just start right here on section 1, and he's going to do damage. So what he looks at is he looks for ships where I have the most influence. So I definitely don't have the most influence in red, so he's really not going to touch that. Then he's going to look at orange. I don't. And then he's going to look at red, and he's going to basically do 2 points of damage to this particular ship. So maybe I should have put one there. It goes bang, boom, bada ding, bada boom, and then they're dead. So that's going to get placed off to the side. And now I'm going to flip over. I'm going to take this 3 off of that particular house ship or house and just place it off to the side. Now that ship can go back, so it's not that it's one and done. We can rebuild that ship if we want to, but that's how that works. Now, then what we're going to look at is we're going to look at whether or not there was a rift here, and there was, and so one of these ships is going to get corrupted. They're going to distribute corruption based off of the same rules. So they're going to look at wherever they have the least amount of influence. So it's definitely not red. And then if there was a tie, they would figure it out from there. So they're going to go ahead and corrupt this particular ship. Okay, now we're going to move on to this one. There is 1 point of damage. There is 1 shield. We're just going to go ahead and take that off, and that's it. Then we're going to go here, and there's going to be 1 point of damage. Now, I get to choose where that point of damage goes because I'm right next to it. So you better believe I am placing this smack dab right onto that red ship. And so the way that's going to work is if this ship gets another damage, it gets destroyed. Okay, now we're going to move on to this. I get to pick again. I don't think I want this to get destroyed, so we're going to place the 1 damage onto here. And you can't destroy your frigates, so that's kind of out of the question. Then I'm going to look here. There's only 1 damage, so we're just going to place this here. Okay, now let's take a step back real quick. Because I'm doing these 2 sectors, I'm going to go ahead and do this now at the same time. So this took a damage, or a ship took a damage here, and a ship took a damage here. So what we're going to go ahead and do is place corruption. So you better believe I'm placing a corruption here on their ship. Actually, that might not be a good idea, because if they place corruption, or if they place a person, sorry, let me rephrase that. If they take their captain and they go to place another corruption token and it already has a corruption on it, they move up on the tactics track. So we don't necessarily want that to happen. So it might actually be better to go somewhere else. But you know what? No, I'm still going to go and do that, because there's still the red arc ship that they might land on first. So I think we'll just deal with that. And then again, this is the only one that can go there. So that's that. Here, there's 2 damage. Do those. That takes care of that. And then here, they're going to pick this. So there's 2 points of damage that they need to deal. Again, they're going to look at which place they have the least influence in. They definitely have the least influence in yellow, not in green. So green's out of the table. The blue they can, and then the orange they also have it. So it's one of these 3. Then they're going to look at whoever has, or which one I have the most influence in. I don't have any influence in orange. I don't have any influence in yellow. And I don't have any influence in that blue one. So then they're just going to go left to right. So they're going to place both damage into here. So that needs 2 more damage and it's destroyed, that's going to be pretty rough, if I'm being honest. So again, there is a situation going on there. So they actually, following the same rules, they're just going to corrupt this particular ship. And then we look here and they're going to decide they have the most influence on here. So they have the least influence here. So the 1 damage is going to go onto that ship there. And that's the skirmish, right? So notice that not every ship got corruption that got damaged. That's because only places where rifts occur are going to be the places that do that. And then there are these cards. These are the Revenant like damage cards whenever it takes damage. Right now there's only 1, and as we go along, we kind of add more. So this is just going to slide down. We're going to get a new one. So if at this point in time, if the Revenant gets destroyed or gets damaged, I should say, we're going to do both of these. All players lose 2 tactics, and then the ships cannot be deployed anymore from the Revenant. So not good, because then that would be really problematic for getting ships out. And this is the new card that would also trigger if we got it damaged a second time in the same round. So all arc ships take a damage, and then again, all players. There is a way to reduce this damage. If you go to this sector here, this particular Revenant action, it lets you put out this token here. And this token is going to let you stop one of the 2 bad things from happening on one of the cards. So that's how that works. Okay, now we're on to the Rift phase. So at this point in time, we're going to go ahead and start spawning people. In the solo game, we're going to roll the yellow die, and we're going to, let's see if I can, so we're going to roll the yellow die and take off 1 from the middle number to a minimum of 1. So if you start rolling, let's see, where is it? Some high numbers. This one. If you roll this one too many times, you're going to be kind of out of luck because it's a minimum of 1. So, and then I'll show you how this works. So we're going to go ahead and start from sector 1 because that's where one of the rifts are. You only place it where the rifts are. So it's a 2. And so we're going to go ahead and reduce that to 1. So we're just going to add 1 there. And then we're going to go to sector 3 and we're going to roll this again. And there it is. It's the 1 and 1 and 1. So that little like sideways kind of looking half circle, that's saying to also put a 1 in the 2 sectors next to it. So we're placing 3 ships out. 1, 2, 3. 1 goes there, and then the other 2 go here. I did not paint the Voidborn miniatures just because, I don't know, when they already seem colored in my mind. So then we're going to go 5. And now that's a minimum of 1. So we're adding 1 and then 1 on each side. So notice how things start to stack up pretty quickly. We may want to think about warping out of here pretty soon if we can't take care of some of this stuff. And then finally, the last one, again, it's going to be a 1 and 1 and 1. So we're going to add a 1, a 2, a 3. How many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop? Okay, so that's just the phase for rolling of the rifts. Now we're going to add data cubes back on to any planets that don't have a data cube, so they make them tempting once more. Then we're going to get rid of these scanner cards off to the side here. So I didn't really talk about these so much. If you watch the how to play video from Gaming Rules, you'll see that these only get selected when you do this particular action of the Revenant. And basically it tells you where more Voidborn are going to come out when you warp. we're going to get rid of these because we're going into round 2. So these go away. I've already got these set up and shuffled. So we do 3 more. And then the rest of these go back into the box. And then we're going to go ahead and draw new cards. And then we're going to start the next round. So I get to draw 3 cards, seeing as I have the handy dandy second level of the captain. I think what I want to do is let me start by getting a command. So this is remote system hack. Up to 4 different fighters can remove a Voidborn from the same sector. That's really nice for now. I get 2 more. I'm going to go ahead and get a cadet. This is 3 or more in a single sector. So after my turn, I can remove 3 or more in a single sector and increase 1 with a house present there. That's really nice. Plus, I get a ton of extra movement and some energy if I don't use it. So that's really nice. And you know what? I have 2 cadet cards that I really like, and so I'm going to go for another command card. So this is for 2 of any resource, energy efficiency. 1 energy, and then I get 1 energy per frigate card. So this may be a card that I want to get rid of because I have no frigate cards, and at this point in time, I do not plan on playing any frigate cards. So we might want to use that as a resource, right? Whenever we need to spend a card. So we're now going to go ahead and move on to round 2. Notice we have not reset the tactics track because we don't need to yet. Actually, I guess I could slide this a little bit further up. Not that you can really see much, but it is what it is. So that's that. And so now what we're going to go ahead and do is we're just going to go ahead and start the next turn of the game. So again, we're going to flip over a card. It's going to be green for them. So they're going to go up on green. They are now at 4 for green. That's a little scary. And now what they're going to do is they're actually going to move across this marker, and they're going to increase this tactics track. So they've now just gone through 4 turns, basically, and they're going to be landing on the Revenant. And they now landed on a 6. So if we look at what this card says, the solo aid, it says when they land on a 6, they're going to make us discard 2 hidden influence. We're going to go up twice, or we're going to go up twice, once on each of those. If it happens to be the same house, then you go up twice on that one house. We only have these 2. So we need to make sure we get some more hidden influence, 1, so we can go up on those tracks. But yeah, I mean, really to go up on those tracks, because if we have no cards to be able to do this, then we don't get to do it. So we're going to go ahead and move up on those tracks. So 1's going to be up on purple, and 1's going to be up on blue. And then we get rid of these. So those go off to the side. And then, like I said, they're going to go ahead and land right here to begin with. And so what they're going to try and do is they're going to go ahead and pick a ship based off of their highest valued situation. So their highest is both red and green at this point. So we then go leftmost. So they're going to go up on red. They would try and put out an arc ship if they could. Then they would try and put out a drop ship and a fighter. They can't do any of that. So the only thing they can put out is going to be this piece right here. And so this right here is going to be their I want to call it a sentinel. I don't know why. In my head, they kind of look like the things from the Matrix, but without the tentacles and all that kind of stuff. So they're going to place this. They're going to place it in the, here we go, lowest numbered sector with the least amount of Voidborn. So what we're going to do first is just look at which sectors have the least amount of Voidborn. So there's 2 here, 2 here, 2 here, and 2 here. So the least sector is going to be 2. So they're going to go ahead and put this right into here. And then because we placed this ship, we're going to take this 3 token and we're going to flip it right over to 4. So now they're getting tons of points for that. So we need to make sure either we start going up on red or we prevent them from going up on red anymore. Okay, so now that they've done that, they're actually going to take this card, this Revenant card here, and they're just going to flip it over. So what that's going to say now is that what all this says is their first choice is now to do the top action here, which is going to be to warp us out of here. All right. They can't put any corruption onto the Revenant, so we don't need to worry about any of that situation going on. So that's, again, that's their turn. So easy peasy, lemon squeezy. We're going to move on to our turn. We do have to kind of start worrying a little bit about our card here. We need at least 4 dropships left on the board, and would you believe it or not, they destroyed one of them. So we got to figure out how to do that. Now, we got to figure out how to play these 2 cards. All right, these 2 cards are going to be super helpful for us in order to play them. And so what I kind of want to think about doing is potentially, I mean, right now I've got an energy, I've got a science, and I've got a material. So I don't really have much that'll let me do anything with them. So, and I'm not really anywhere up on one of these tracks that'll let me get a resource anytime soon. So I'm thinking what we could do is maybe use our captain to land somewhere, possibly back on that one planet over here that'll let us protect some ships, get us another data cube and some more influence. And it'll give me an energy. And then I could get maybe another. Ooh, what ship would I land with though? I need to think about that. I want to land with either one of these because then on my board I can play a card. And if I play a card of a ship that I landed with, then I get an additional. Here it is. Oh, but I don't want to use this green one because that green one's going to give me corruption, which isn't necessarily a big deal. Where's orange? Orange is way over here. And my frigate's way over here. So your frigates can also land on ships. And I do have some extra movement, but I only have 1 extra movement. So it's not like I'm moving across the board. And so I think what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to take the hit and I'm going to go ahead and land on this particular ship here. And I think what I can do is maybe maneuver some of these ships to do some stuff. So I'm going to take my captain. I'm going to place him. I'm going to place him onto here. And your captain lets you move this. My captain lets me move this. 1, 2. We're going to take this cube and another cube. And I happen to have 3 cubes now. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of these 3. We're going to gain 1, 2, 3 hidden influence. And I get to pick one. Well, this is where the decision starts to come into an interesting aspect, right? Because I could take this to at least make sure I get some points with red, because we're in round 2, and there are 4 red ships out. And right now, I'm not super in a position to get rid of them. So I think I'm going to go ahead and take this red one. I think I'm going to do that because I don't want to lose out on some of that stuff. So, and then we get rid of this. Okay. Now, I'm going to keep doing some of my captain stuff. So I do get to get rid of one of these, which lets me move up. And then I'm going to do the action, which is going to be able to place 3 of these out. Where should we place these? So here there's going to be 1 damage. Let's actually think about where I'm going to get to do some of this, the damage mitigation. So if I could maybe move that ship into here, or maybe move up my tactics track a little bit further. If I move it 3 more, I can start making decisions for these spaces as well, which would be huge. So we could make that the plan. We could make the plan trying to move up further up on the tactics track, so that way we can start making decisions for some of these further ones out. And then that would mean we probably would want to place these into places like, well, this one's not super, I'm not super interested in this one right here. So I think what we're going to go ahead and do is I'm going to place 2 over here. I'm going to place, oh man, I would love to destroy their ship. Okay, I think that's the plan. I think I'm going to try to move up on the tactics track. So we're going to protect here, and then I'm going to put 1 here to try and protect this ship as well. That's the plan. Because I don't have any neutronium, so I'm not going to be able to warp us out of here. So that third round is going to be kind of rough, unless I can figure out how to get some neutronium. I need 2. Well, let me go ahead and finish this action. I put the 3 out. I do get an energy, and then because of my character, I get an additional resource. So let's go ahead and just get in a science there. We'll get that science. And now, let's see here. What do we want to do? I think that's that. I have to take a corruption because of that. And I think I'm going to put, for now, I'm going to put the corruption on to my board with the captain symbol to move up. I only need to move it up one more time. If you can see here, I'll show you. I only need to move it up one more time by the end of the game. So I'm right here. And I can probably easily remove that token at some point. So I'm going to place it there because I'm not going to use it anytime soon. And I would like to potentially get extra resources if I need them. And then we're going to go ahead and do our bonus action, which is going to play a card. So the card I'm going to go ahead and play is... I forgot I had these. I forgot I had that. Is going to be this one right here. So this is going to be for one less resource. And I think for the time being, we're going to go ahead and use one less science, because this ability down here lets me potentially get some more energy. So that's what we're going to do. And so we're going to spend 2 energy and 1 science. Also, later on, I do want to kind of stock up on some energy because I do have this other card with science, sorry, not energy, with science that I would like to play, as well as leveling up my captain that last time. So we're going to go ahead and play this. I'm just going to play it off to the top part of my captain. And so that's that. All right. So that was my entire action. And so now what's going to happen is they are going to take their action. They are going to go ahead and move up on green. So again, we don't know. They don't use, so they just pass this, but they don't apparently take the bonuses. So they don't actually move up on the tactics track in that way. So this is green. They're going to move and they're going to try and land on a green dropship. Well, I took the green dropship. So now they're going to try and land on a green arc ship. And so they are going to land over here and they're not going to do anything. So that's it. And again, it's not the harbinger. So we're done. Easy peasy. We're done. All right. I haven't thought this far along yet. So I need to figure out what I want to do. I think I definitely want to try and play this card at some point. This is lets me remove up to 4 different Voidborn. So this may be really useful at some point. I also need to think about potentially moving up. I know that I've landed once on one of these ships. Oh, I didn't remove a thing here for my captain ability. So I get to remove that. This is only 2 away. So if I do my special handy dandy bonus action, this one right here, then I get to go up twice and then I will be ahead of him. And then that's huge. That's honestly really, really big for us. So I need to think about what I want to do though. And I think what I want to do is, see, this is what's so interesting about this game is I want to move some of the red ships and get them destroyed. But if I land on a red ship, then I'm going up on that. So the only other thing I can do is try to move my ships out of sectors with red ships and Voidborn. So like, for instance, here, I could move out. So like I could move and then fire. That'll let me move up another thing on the tactics track and then land here because you can strafe. Then that means 4 damage is going into this area. And the problem is 2 of it's going here. And then the other 2 is going to have to go here. Now, I'm not up on that track at the current moment. Let me show you guys. I'll give you guys an updated look at what the board looks like. So this is where we stand currently. Again, I'm blue and they're green. So I'm kind of falling behind a little bit. Not gonna lie. I need to think about some of these other ships that are gonna go out there. But I also think I want to try to warp so that way things don't get too problematic. Because I can put a shuttle out and get some cubes. Okay. So, I want to land on an arc ship. And the reason why is because I want to go ahead and do this bottom action and I want to get some resources. So, I think what I might do is I want to land on an arc ship, I think. Okay, I'm going to go here. And I'm going to do this action, which is going to get me 2 neutronium, and that'll probably let me warp out of here if I need to. I think it'll be problematic if I don't warp out, if I'm being honest, because it's going to get too chaotic here. And then I'm going to move. Ooh, okay. Oh, how interesting. Okay. Yeah, let's do that. I'm going to go here. I'm going to do that. So it's going to give me 2 of this tasty neutronium. So there we go. Got my 2 neutronium. And then just move this. Sorry. Okay. And then I do get this bonus action, which is going to be to get 1 of any of the same resource or 1 energy. I actually, because of the fact that I am probably going to do this action next, if you see some of these cards, it shows that you get to place a shuttle out. And so I think I want to place a shuttle. And so that's going to cost me another one. So I'm going to gain another neutronium. And that'll give me that working room. And then I not only get to place another one of these shield tokens, but I'm also going to get to move up because I moved up once onto here for that, which I forgot to do. Then my cadet's ability says if you have 2 or less with this house, you gain an additional 1 with them. So now I'm further up on that. So again, that's kind of why I wanted to get that particular one out there pretty quickly. Okay, so I think what I'm going to want to do now that I know that I'm going to be ahead of them on this track because of what I'm about to do, I'm going to put 1 of these here to kind of try and protect some of my assets there. That's what I'm going to do. So now I get to take my bonus action, which I'm going to go ahead and do my however many people I have on a dropship thing. So I get to move up twice. And so now I am ahead of them. And that's going to give me a material resource. And I'm looking pretty good there. So now I'm ahead of them, which is going to be great for when we're distributing damage. And so now they're going to take their last turn. They're going to move up on blue. Wow, okay. Wasn't expecting that. And then they're going to move their token to a fighter. So they're going to try and land on a blue fighter. It's right here. So that's that. And again, they don't do anything because honestly, they kind of suck. I really wish they destroyed some of these ships a little bit more often. And so now I get my last turn, and I have to figure out what I want to do. So I think we're going to go ahead and move up onto this. And now I get to move up once on any track. I think what I'm going to go ahead and do is move up on this purple track. Just seeing as I'm pretty close to getting another token here. So I'm going to move up on the purple. And then I get to choose one of these. And I am going to look at one of these 2. So these are the 2 that I would like to do. Okay. So I have to think about where I'm going to be placing some of this stuff. So My shuttle goes there, and then there's going to be 2 ships there. Not a big deal. And there's going to be 2 ships there anyways. So the shuttle, it is what it is. It's going to be in a spot with multiple ships anyways. The next option is this one has 5 and 5. And this one has 5 and 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So they both are in 6 sectors, except I think, yeah, I don't know. 5 and 5. I think we're going to pick this one. So we pick this. And so I spend my 3 neutronium. And then we're going to see that I get a few things. So I'm going to get 2 data cubes, which is actually going to fill up my space. So I'm going to get rid of that. And then I'm going to go ahead and, again, draw 3 of these. And I'm going to pick one. Seeing as I'm going up on purple, I'm going to go ahead and take that purple one. And then these are going to go away. Then we're going to get to take a shuttle. And guess what? I'm going to do purple. And we're going to place it into this sector here. And then we're going to flip this 3 to a 4 on purple. And then we get to get rid of 2 colony cards. I'll show you what those look like. These are the colony cards. And these are like at the end of the game, the 4th round, some of these come out. And so you'll shuffle these and you'll put 3 out. But the ones that I don't want out are like where he's the highest. So like I get to get rid of 2 of them. So I'm getting rid of the green and the red because I don't want them to have those options to score higher. So we get rid of that. Okay. So that's that. Then I get to move this token upwards, and you'll see that in a second. And then we just get rid of these. So they just go away. Okay. I think that was it because that was this action, right? And then I got to place my stuff. So we're gonna refresh. So they're gonna take their workers and here. I'm gonna take my workers and here. These guys go back onto my board. Then we're gonna see the drop ships come off of the cards like so. And then we're going to reset turn order. So now I'm going to get this first player marker, so I'll get to go first. And then we start the skirmish. So actually, I have to double check. I think the solo bot always goes first. So I'll double check that in just a second. But we're now going to do skirmish phase. So I get to pick quite a bit now. But we're going to look here. So first things first is going to be sector 1. There's 3 damage to distribute. They get to choose. So again, they're going to look at where they have the least influence. It's going to be orange. So 2 of it's going to go to orange, which is going to destroy it. And so we're going to remove that token and push this off to the side here. And then they're going to place 1 onto that ship. So that's going to get 1 hit. Now we're going to go to 2. And now I get to choose where this damage gets dealt because I'm here, I'm ahead of them. So I get to not only pick the 2 next to me, but I get to pick 1 more ahead. So this only takes 1 damage. So we're going to definitely destroy this. I'm just going to move it back to where it was. So we're definitely having that one destroyed. So moving them back down from 4 ships to 3 ships. And then I get 1 more that I need to distribute. So we're just going to go ahead and place this onto the fighter here. Because again, I don't want the drop ships destroyed, right? So I want them to be safe for the end of the game. We're going to move here. You better believe I'm going to go ahead and, well, I guess one of these gets taken off. So there's only 1 damage to deal, and it's going to go to this. So they've just gone from 4 ships to 2 ships, just like that, which is happy days for me. Not happy days for them. Then we're going to move on to here. There's 3 damage, but 2 of this gets blocked. So now there's just 1 singular damage that needs to come off. Again, I don't want this dropship to be destroyed for as long as possible. So I actually am going to place 1 damage onto this arc ship. I I don't want I just don't want the dropships to be destroyed. Now we're going to move on to 5. Again, I get to make this decision. Now, you're going to see some damage onto the Revenant because there's no protection here from these shield tokens, and there's 2 damage, and this already has 1. So this is going to come off, which means that yellow is going to go down to 2 ships. So that comes off, and then I'm just going to unplug these pieces off the board. And then there's still 1 more damage, and so that damage is actually going to come up to here. And so we need to be careful. We need to be really careful about this particular sector. We're actually going to be fine because the scanner card I picked is okay, but that's that. So now this is going to go there, and I get to pick this sector again. Now I don't get to choose to not use this, so this comes off, which means there's 3 damage left to deal. And I want to get rid of that red ship, and so we're going to go ahead and do that because I can always try to rebuild another drop ship. So again, we're going to destroy that with 2 of the damage. Again, bringing red from 2 to 1 ship. So that's coming off the board. And then I have 1 more damage to deal here. We're going to do it onto here because, again, we kind of, as the game goes on, want some ships to soak up the damage because you don't want the Revenant to take too much damage because it can be pretty problematic. And then we finally get back to them. They are now going to make the decision here, which is going to be to distribute 3 damage amongst here. So again, they're going to look at where they have the least amount of influence. So right now it's tied for orange. It's tied for here. Green, they definitely have the most, so they're not touching that. And then yellow. And so basically they look for where I have the most influence. Right now I have the most influence here. So they're going to put 2 damage here, which is going to destroy this and make this go from a 3 to a 2. And then they still have 1 more to distribute. So they're going to, again, look at where I would have the most influence between yellow and orange. I have the tide, so they just go to the leftmost. So they're going to go ahead and place that onto here. And then we're going to look here and then nothing there. Now, one thing I kind of forgot to do, which is the rift part. The way that the instructions are set up is that you kind of do this and then you do the rift. I like to do it at the same time, but because I've kind of only started doing it at the same time, I kind of forget. So there was a damage in this sector, so this is going to go ahead, since this is the only ship, that's going to take a corruption. Here, there was a damage, so one of them is going to go on there, so we're going to actually, I don't know if I want to place it on here. And the reason for that is because this is kind of juicy. But this is also good. I'm gonna go ahead and place it onto here. We'll do that. That's fine. And then there's no ships here, and then 1 damage did come here, and then it's not going to go there, so then it's going to go onto here. So that was the corruption phase. If there was any leftover shield tokens, we would remove them, and then we're basically going to cycle through the Revenant card. So this is the new one that's out. I don't know why I'm showing it to you sideways. This is the new one that's out. So if this happens to get hit, all players reset their tactics track without getting bonuses, which sucks. And then we lose a corruption, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Okay, that's that. And now we're going to move on to our warp phase. At least that's what I call it. I think it's hypercharge, but it is what it is. So we're going to go 1 by 1. So first things first is we actually remove all of the colony cards. These go away. Then we remove all of the rifts. Just put them off to the side. Then we remove all of the Voidborn, but we don't get any tactics for it, and they are very specific about that. You're leaving them in the dust. Okay, so these all come off. Then we are going to reset our tactics track. Now I get to reset my tactics track to 2. Now here's the unfortunate part, and I'm going to pick this up and show it to you guys. So this is the board that we're basing everything off of as far as turn orders and stuff like that, and order of events. But if you notice, if I had gone one more space, then when I moved back, I would have been able to get a influence. And if I was way up here, not only would I be able to get that hidden influence, but I'd get to get an additional influence of my choice. I don't get to do that, so I just get to reset to 2, which is fine because I do get, it's easier to go up on. And you saw how much I went up on in one turn. So, and I already know that he's going to, the bot's going to warp us in the next phase. And that's because of how his cards will come out. Now, he doesn't get reset, so he just stays there. So I don't get anything, which is really unfortunate. But then we're going to go ahead and do our thing. So I already did 2 of it, and so this is now going to go onto right here. And we already set up our board as if this was coming out, so that's done. And then we're going to go ahead and do the rest of this card. So I'm going to place the rifts first, kind of in the same order we just did it. So rift, rift, a rift, and a rift. Then we're going to go ahead and place some colony cards. So we're going to place one here, here, and here. I'm going to place some data cubes onto there as well. And then we're going to place our Voidborn. So we're going to place 5 onto here, 4. And I'm not gonna bother making them stand up too nicely. 2 there, 2, 3, 4 here, which is actually not a bad thing. If I can move this one out of the way, then this is all going to hit the green ships. Nothing on the next sector. Then 2 here, 2 here, and 2 here. Okay, so that's that. And then we're going to go ahead and get rid of this. And now I'm going to get to draw new cards. So I already have some cards that I want to play. Like this one will let me remove some. This one will let me remove some Voidborn from sectors. So wherever there's fighters, we've gotten rid of 4 of the 7 fighters. So this may not be super useful anymore, but I do still want to play this protector card. So the 3 cards that I want to get are probably a command card. I think I'm just going to go all command. I'm going to get 3 command cards. Because at this point, I don't plan on playing any more cadets except for that one, potentially. So here's what I got. I got calling in favors. For 1 resource of any kind, I can get rid of an influence and either get 2 resources or move up 3 on the tactics track. Sleeper agents. For 1 energy and 1 of any resource, I can gain a corruption, or, which is putting it on my board, or in my little storage area, and or a data cube. Very nice, because then I can get some more hidden influence. And then it says the person you use this turn has a mining ability, and if you use it, then you get a +1 data cube. That's, oh, okay. And then my favorite one, 4 up on the tactics track. So between these 2 cards, this may be quite useful. I don't necessarily want to get rid of an influence, but it is what it is. Maybe I figure out what I can do for that. So, okay. So I've got kind of a lot of cards now. And so I kind of want to either use them up, play them, or some assortment of that. Okay, so the solo always takes their turn before me. Now, before we start, before I forget, before they take that, I do get to get rid of 3 ships. They can be in the same sector. So I think I want to keep these here to maybe destroy their green assortment up. So I think I want to get rid of 2 here, and definitely I'm going to get rid of 2 here, and I'm going to get rid of 1 there. I'm just now realizing that my favored house right now has both ships in these sectors, so I need to clear those out as much as possible. Luckily, only one of these has a... Oh, I guess this one has a rift too, so we'll have to figure that one out in a little bit. Okay, so they're going to take their turn, And first thing they're going to do is they're going to go up on this blue. Who knew? And then they're going to shift along. So now they're going to move up their tactics, and they're going to do this right away. So if we look at where they're currently at 7. So they're going to flip at influence and gain influence in that region. So it's going to be this blue. And then I'm just going to put that off to their side. So that's this part, right? So if we zoom in, it's just going to be, they flip it over, they gain 1 influence, and then what they're going to do is they're going to look at their highest influence. So right now it's going to be green because they're at 5, and that's no one else has 5. And what they're going to do is they're going to place 1 shield onto each green ship, and so there's only 3 of them, which, good for them, but also that we did want to do something here, so now we're going to have to figure that out. I may want to move my frigate maybe over to here at some point to try and figure that out. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I don't know. I'm interested in how this is going to play out. Okay, so that's their turn, and then they moved onto a Revenant ship. So what they're going to go ahead and do is they're going to take their Harbinger, and they're going to go ahead and place it onto this space here. And this is why I said earlier I know that they were going to warp again. And so basically all they do is in cycles 3 and 4, I believe what they're going to do. Okay, so they're going to do 2 things when they do this. The first thing is they're going to take these scanner cards here, and they're basically going to randomize it. And they're going to just pick one and get rid of the other 2. And the other thing they're going to do in cycles 3 and 4 is they're actually going to look at these, the colony cards, and they're going to look for the 2 houses I have the most influence in. So right now that's going to be purple and either one of these 2. And so they go left to right. So they're going to get rid of these 2 cards. And so it looks like these may be the only 3 cards that come out when we actually do the final round. So we are warping in the next one. And that's their turn. That's all they do. So now we move on. Now we're going to go ahead and figure out what we want to do. So this is fine. We're not worried about this. This is not going to get hit on this turn at least. So I'm not really too worried about that. So we definitely want to try to play some of these cards. So preferably, maybe we can play 2 of these command cards, right? And really just skyrocket up onto that tactics track. I only need 3 resources to do this, but I need to be able to play on either green or yellow. And both of those are not the best for me at this point in time. So I think what I'm going to, I could also go on to here, and this would let me play a card for 1 less resource and gain a card, and then I can just play another card for my extra action. And then I could save a resource and go up on yellow or purple. I think that's what I'm going to do. So I think what I'm going to go ahead and do is use my cadet that doesn't have an ability and place it onto here. I'm trying to think of what's that other one. Oh, this would be a good one too. I'm still thinking about playing this one, the Protector. I need 1 energy and 2 science, but I don't have an energy. Well, okay, then maybe instead of that, I try and get an energy through this card, right? And maybe I go up on green because he's kind of gotten that protected a little bit. And I could score some points off of green at the very least. And then I could play this. And so let's do that. Let's play this on green. So I need it to be an arc ship. So we are going to go on to here. And I'm going to do the bottom one because that's going to give me 2 material. So now I'm kind of flush with material. So I might want to use that for some random stuff. And then I get to go up on green. So I'm going to move up on green, and then my character's ability does say, if you have 2 or less with the house, gain +1. And so we're going to move up another one. And then we're going to finish that. Okay. I also get, since I did that, I can get an additional one, or I can get energy. I'm going to get an energy. And then I can place one of these anywhere. I think I'm going to place it over here, and that'll shore that up. So I don't have to worry about that anymore. Okay, now the actual turn. So that was that. I got to move up on all of that. It's not corrupted, so now I get to take my extra action. So I'm actually going to do both of these. I'm going to play the green one because I'm just going to do it in order since the card I'm playing is of the house that we played. I get to spend one. I'm spending that material. And I get to get rid of a hidden influence. I'll get rid of the red one just because we're kind of taking care of that. We're destroying that. And then I'm going to get 2 resources and move up 3 times on the track. And I think the resource I want to probably get is going to be energy because I have so much. So we're going to go ahead and get 2 energy. And then I get to move up 3 times. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, which is also going to give me another material. Oops, I can go there. Starting to lose some space. So that was that. So that card has been played. So we're done with that. And then I get to play a second card. And we're going to go ahead and, we are going to go ahead and do this. And we're going to play this tactics. Or I have enough now. No, I don't. I need another additional science. This would be good to remove some ships. I could remove one here. And then I could move up 4 times anyways. I think actually what we're going to do is I'm going to do this one instead and remove at least 3 because there's only 3 fighters. And I think these fighters are going to get taken out. But you know what? There's only 3 fighters, but one of the fighters is here and there's nothing there. Okay, then never mind. We're not going to do that. We are going to continue with our plan. We're going to use this we're going to spend 1 energy and 1 material and go up 4 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4 gets me another material back. Rearrange some of this stuff. And that card is also played. At the end of the game, each of these command cards are worth 1 point. So kind of pity points, but it's worthwhile to at least get something. So now I'm way ahead of him. So now I know I can make sure to pick some of these things. And so let's go ahead and move on with their turn. They're going to do a green. So they're going to move up on green. They're way up at the top there. And they're going to try and land on a green drop ship, which happens to be right over here. And they're going to go ahead and I'm going to move that piece in just a second. They're going to move that right over to here. And so the drop ships are the only ones that they actually go do something with. So, I guess they take up spaces on the arc ships, but they're not actually doing anything with the arc ships. So this still has a protection. This is, I don't know, I'm a little worried about that now. So maybe I move this out to do this, which gives me another hidden influence. I don't know. We'll see. We will see. I don't know yet. Okay. Let me see here. I don't know what I want to do. What do I want to do next? I think I want to place my captain somewhere. And I could take this one out, and then this would get destroyed. But now I don't know if I necessarily want that one destroyed because I'm kind of up on green a little bit. But they're way up on green. So I don't think I want that necessarily. So let's do this. I am going to... There's a space that lets me remove corruption. Yeah, this one, but they're there already. I guess I could go here, and that'll let me move up on the blue. And then I could copy where they're at, which is going to be... But I really want to use my person here. I just don't have 2 of that. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. Oh, I don't think I've ever seen that card before. Okay, let's do that then. We'll do this dropship, and we'll move it onto here. So it's going to move me up on orange. And then I get to, in 2 sectors, remove 2 damage. Well, seeing as I'm kind of going up on orange, I don't think I want that one on there. And then I don't want this one on there for sure. Well, that's going to kind of get destroyed anyways, isn't it? Well, that's fine. And then I get to move up once on the tactics track. And then I get this, plus an additional cube. And because I landed there, I do get to I get to remove a Voidborn from the sector I'm in, but there is none. But I do get another resource, and I think I'm going to go ahead and finally do this card. So I'm going to get a science. So I'm going to get that science. And then for my turn, oh, what do you know? It happens to be orange, and I played orange. I wasn't even planning on that. For my bonus action, I'm going to go ahead and spend 1 energy and 1 science to go ahead and place that on my other character, on my other cadet. All right, and this is their last turn for this round. It's going to be red. So they're going to move up on red. Then they're going to try and place it on a red arc ship, which is right there, and they don't do anything. Okay, I do need to try and figure out how to remove this corruption that's on my board. So this is kind of what I'm sitting at right now. I need to remove this corruption that's sitting here because I do need to increase my captain's ability one more time before the end of the game. Right now we are sitting at a total of 1, 2, 3, 4 dropships that are there, and this one is almost certainly going to get destroyed. So I'm actually thinking I might move out of there and land onto here. Again, I don't have any energy. So what I'm going to do is I'm still going to move this because I want to move this out of here. So we're going to move this. I also get 1 up on that particular house. So we're going to move this, and we're going to land here. And I'm going to take this, which is going to actually finish off my 3 cubes. I get to take 3 of these, and I get to pick which one. Orange. Because they're going to try and protect the dark blue, I'm going to take the dark blue. Okay. Then I'm going to do the bottom one and get 1 energy and 2 science. And then they're going to, actually the way I'm going to, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we're going to do it that way. And then we're going to go ahead and get a corruption because we're doing this one. So I'm going to get a corruption, and I'm going to place it onto this spot here. It is what it is, but I can't use this, but I'm going to go ahead and on this next turn, I'm going to get rid of both of these through this action. So I need to get rid of a card and an energy, so I will do that. So card and an energy. Done and done, which actually puts and fills up my corruption meter. Lets me draw some more corruption. I'm definitely going to pick that purple one. So we're going to take that. And that was my turn. That was all 3 of those turns. We're now going to go into the refresh phase. We're going to take back their workers. We're going to take back my workers. And then, oh, actually, I forgot with this character. I get to get rid of 3 ships in a single sector, which I forgot to do. And I get to go up once on a sector in that house. So we're going to get rid of these 3. And we'll move up once into there to get, we'll get a I'll show you guys. So I got an energy. Oh, oops, wrong one. I can't do that one. It's this one. So that actually should go back there. Sometimes the colors in this game can be iffy. Doesn't help that I painted them really dark too. Okay, so that's gaining the people, and then this comes off. This comes off. I should also go up 1, 2 on there because of removing those ships. And then, where am I? Totally lost my train of thought. Then we would reset whoever turn order is. It's me, so it doesn't really matter. Then we go into skirmish. So we're going to look. We're going to start at 1. I don't get to pick 1, but nothing happens in 1. Then we're going to go to 2. Nothing happens in 2. Then we're going to go to 3, and I do get to pick what happens to 3. So there's 2 damage that happens here. I'm just going to split it. Split it 1 and 1. Actually, I'm going to put both of them there because I'm not on yellow at all. Then here, this and this comes off. Then I do get to pick here, but there's nothing happening. Then I get to pick here because I am ahead. And there's 2 damage that happens. We're going to go 1 and 1 on this one. So this one we will do 1 and 1. Okay. Now they get to pick here. So again, there's not much picking. There's 2, so they're just going to get rid of both of these. And then they're going to pick here. I don't do anything, but they're going to get rid of 1. Then 2 is going to destroy this, which makes them go from 3 to 2. And then there's still 1 left over. And so that 1 is going to hit the Revenant. And then there's nothing here. And then there is going to be a corruption that lands here. So it's wherever they have the least. So they have the least in this one. So it's going to be this guy right here. And then we move on to moving this down. And so this is the final whole card. So this could be a problem. You get rid of all the colony cards. It's not a big deal. Like, you still do end game scoring, but you just miss out on some points, possibly. So that's that. And so now we're going to move into the warp phase. So we're going to get rid of the cards. Boom, boom, and boom. And then we are going to get rid of the rifts. And then we are going to get rid of the Voidborn. And then we are going to, I think I got all the Voidborn, right? Yeah. And then we are going to reset. So now you can see over here a little bit. I'll slide that over. You can actually see I'm way at the end. So I'm going to go all the way back down to 2, but I'm going to get to go up once on a track and get a hidden influence. So we're going to go down. We're going to go down to 2. And I think the track I'm going to move up on is going to be this purple one because I am really high up on that one. And then I get another influence. So I'm going to get rid of 1, 2, or I'm going to get 3. And we'll take the orange one because I'm already ahead of them on the other one. So we'll take that orange one. Then we are going to do the scanner card. So they're going to start by putting a rift there, a rift here. That's really bad. So this is the card, right? And they have 5 in that left corner and this happens to be 2 of my ships. So I'm not super happy that they happen to pick that one. And then we're going to go ahead and put 3 new colonies out. And then we're going to put 3 new ships. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Just 1. 1, 2, and 3. 2, and then 5. Okay. So again, that was that card. That's everything that came out. And so we're going to put that off to the side. Just fill these in with data cubes really quickly. And then let me just double check. We're going to get new cards, and then we're going to put out these colony cards. So it's going to be orange, yellow, and dark blue. Okay. So we may want to start moving up on dark blue, because if we are highest with dark blue, then we get 2 points per thing. And that's kind of the thing we're going for. So we have kind of a lot to do on this turn. But the last thing we get to do is we get to get some cards. So I'm definitely going to get 1, 2, 3 of these. So this is what I got. I can gain 4 cards. I can get rid of 2 cards to get 3 resources and a card. Or I can just go up once on a thing, which might actually be the thing I do. Okay, I think we are ready for the last round. We are ready for the last round. Okay, so one of the things I forgot to mention is after the warp phase, the hyper jump phase, what actually ends up happening is the bot will draw another card from their deck and go up once on that track. I did that earlier, I just didn't show it. So this time around, they're going up on red. So as we stand going into this final round, this is what the board looks like. So let me try to not drop everything. And so this is where we're kind of at. They're definitely up on that red and green track. So if I can try to, destroy one of the red ships, which is this arc ship over here, there's a few damage here. So it's definitely possible. Then that can be quite useful. Okay, so I just double checked. I misspoke about this. Apparently this is if you destroyed 3 or more in a single sector. So this is kind of what I mean in one of my reviews of this game. The iconography can sometimes get in the way of the game. So that I might have played that one wrong earlier. So that's on my part. What they're going to do is they're going to move. So they have drawn a green. They moved up on the green track. They're at the top. And then they tried to land, or they're going to try and land on a green fighter. There is no green fighter. So they're going to move along the track again, which is going to move them up once on here. And when I land on an 8, we are going to get rid of 2 of these. And we are going to go up on there. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to do 1 and 1. We're going to just go ahead and get rid of a orange and the dark blue. So we're going to get rid of those. Okay. Now they're going to try and land on the Revenant on the first space. So they're going to go ahead and land on here with their captain. And they're going to try to deploy a ship. So their highest is a green. So they're going to try and deploy a green arc ship. There's already one out. Then they're going to try and deploy I believe, a drop ship, which is already there. So they're not going to worry about that. Then they're going to try and do a green fighter. So now they're going to take this green fighter and they're going to make this. This is going to go back to 3. And again, they're going to place this in the lowest space, lowest sector with the least amount of Voidborn. So is there anything less than 0? So there's this one. So they're actually going to place it right in here because it is sector 3 and there's no Voidborn. The only other option would have been here, which is 0, but that's sector 8. Okay, so that's their turn. So now we're going back to me, and I had this whole thing planned out where I had done this, but then realized I hadn't taken their turn. So here's what we're going to try and figure out how to do. I would have really liked to have gone here. So, I mean, that's really problematic for me, if I'm being honest. So I think, ooh, man, that really that hurts. That hurts a lot. So I think we need to go somewhere. We need either, I needed to go on yellow. So I'm thinking I go here because yellow will help me go up twice on yellow. I know that sounds weird, but this cadet has empath, which is if I have 2 or less with this house, I gain +1 with them. So I'm thinking I'm going to go there and gain probably energy, which will also, yeah, that'll also let me do this, which is going to be to put down 2 of the things. So let's do that. We're going to go there, and I'm going to gain 2 energy. My thing is stocked up and full. I am going to move up once on yellow, and since I have that cadet, I get to move up again. So the only thing I haven't moved up on is red, and that's because I want to try and have it destroyed. And I am doing this, so I gain my 2, and now I get to place 2 of these tokens anywhere. I'm thinking I'm actually going to place them here to at least protect these 2 ships, especially because the drop ship is here, and I don't want that ruined. But we need to figure this out sooner rather than later. Either moving them or something. I want to get rid of these. Okay, now at the end of my turn, I'm looking to see if it's corrupted. It's not, so I'm going to go ahead and do my action, which is going to be to get rid of 3 signs to finally upgrade my captain to be fully upgraded. So we are now here, and technically we still have this, but I am really worried about this dropship getting destroyed. So we're going to go ahead and move on. They're going to move up on green. Nothing happens, I believe, when they move up on green, or if they move up and they need to keep moving up, they just kind of, that's it. They just kind of leave it there. So we're now going to move on to them moving this, and they're going to try and land on a green dropship right there, which, oh man, they're really taking the wind out of my sails, because they're going to go here and remove this, and I really wanted to go there, but with the blue one here, I think. This is rough. This is very rough. Okay. Then here's what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and maybe I shouldn't have put those there. Because I should have put these over here, because I think I'm going to land this one here, and my captain now has an ability of getting rid of a one of these. Oh man, this is not good. Not good at all. Now, I guess, I'm assuming that when I do this, I can get rid of a ship even in its starting sector. But I don't want to get rid of the starting sector ship here. I want to get rid of it like here. Okay, let's see. Maybe. Yeah, I'm going to go here, and I am going to move this to over here. And one of the reasons why I'm also wanting to move that is because I have 2 of these cards that I might want to play, right? That'll give me an opportunity to play 2 cards at once. So we're going to play that there. Then I can get rid of a ship. So I will get rid of one, because that lets me move up, which gives me material. I have a lot of resources now. And then I can also place one, and I'm assuming it has to be in that sector, and then I can get an energy. I will get an energy just because, why not? And I'm thinking I'm going to do this because I can get rid of 2 in any place. So I will do that because that's going to give me a corruption. And so I will get rid of 2 here, which will let me move up twice onto there. And then I'm going to take this corruption, and I think I'm going to place it onto my level, like my leveling up my captain because I don't need to do that anymore. But I do get 2 of these data cubes because of my person. And so that's everything with my captain. I also get another resource, but I have nowhere on my board that I can place it because it's filled up and or has a corruption. So I'll just show you what I'm talking about. So there's the corruption, and then that's the only space I could put something, but you can't place something where there's corruption. So I think that's it. And so now they're going to take their final turn, and they're going to go up on yellow. Funny. And then they're going to try and land on a yellow arc ship, which they can't. So they're going to try and land on a yellow fighter. Oh boy, which I don't think they can. So then they're going to try to land on here, which doesn't actually do anything. It just flips the card over. Which actually, I'm sorry, it kind of does do something because the card was flipped over earlier. But first, we need to resolve their tech track. So they're at 9, so they're going to flip over one of these. They're going to go up on yellow again. It's not good. And then they're going to look at their highest, which is green, and they're going to place a shield token on all available green ships. So they're going to place one onto here. Not a big deal. There and there. All right. Well, it is what it is. And then that's that. So now they're going to try and place it, and they are going to do this. So they in cycle 4, all they do is pick, I think, the highest one that they're in. In cycle 4, they're just going to choose any colony which shows the house they have the most influence with and just pick that one. So yellow, they have 4. Blue, they have 4. Orange, they have 2. So they're going to pick the leftmost one. So it'll be this this blue one, which is actually good for me because if I can kind of beat them out, then I can try and get that. And that's it. That's all that happens because there's no real like jump phase or rift phase during this segment. So that's basically their game. And now I would like to try to figure out, I'm actually thinking maybe I can place this ship into here and destroy something in here. And if I can do that, then my dog is sleeping. She's making a bunch of sound. Oh, you know what? On the end of my last turn, I never played my cards from when I played that one blue ship. So I'm going to go ahead and do that because I needed to spend... Oh, you know what? I can't even play this because I don't have the... Ugh. Okay. Well then. Well, I didn't realize I didn't have 2 of those. So what I'll do is instead of playing 2 cards, I will just do this. So it'll be... Oh, and I can't use it because of the thing. Okay. Then in that case, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this card to get rid of this thing. Oh, that burned me. Oh, well. So I'm using my last cadet, and the cadet has protector. So the protector is going to... I mean, if I could try to figure out how to destroy 3 things, then that would be awesome. But I think what I'm going to do is I have to try to move up on green. I mean, I could try to move up on blue. I think this is what we're going to do. We're going to move... So if I move this into here, I could fire, which would let me move into here, and then I could move again, which would be into here to help kind of protect things. Or I could move 1, 2, because I have some extra movement with this character. Destroy, that lets me strafe into here, and then it'll take that bulk of the damage. So let's do that. So I'm actually going to take this. So I am going to go up on green, and then we're going to move 1, 2. We're going to fire, which is going to give me this, which is going to give me another material. I'm all fulled up. Can't do anything else. Then we're going to, because we fired, we're going to strafe into here. And that's going to help take care of some stuff. And now for the last of my turn, I'm going to go ahead and play this card here. Oh, you know what? I still can't. I don't have another resource. So let's do this. I think I'm going to play this card. And this card is going to up to 4 different fighters. I can do it at least 3 times, and that'll give me 3, 1, 2, 3. That'll give me 3 tactics. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And we'll spend 1 of these. So 2 energy and a material. So we're going to go and do this up to 4 different, and then we get to remove 1 from the same sector. So we're going to go here. So that's 1. Here, that's 2. And then here, that's 3. So I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, which is nice, kind of. And I think that's it. That's my turn. We're done. So now we're going to move down into refresh. So we're just going to take people back. No biggie. And take that. And then we're going to move dropships back off, which just was here and here. And then we're going to look at turn order. Nothing really happens. And then we're going to do skirmish. So starting with 1, this is going to get destroyed because there's 3 damage. There's nothing there. There's nothing else to pick. So this gets destroyed. And then no corruption gets placed since there's no ships there. But we did kind of what we wanted to do, which was to have that last red get destroyed, because that's going to basically put them at 0, or not basically, it puts them at 0 for red. There's no red ships on the board. So it's actually like best case scenario. Here, nothing happens. Here I get to pick, but guess what? Nothing happens. Here, something happens. We're just going to remove that, and then 1 damage is going to go on to the green. And then we're going to look at here, and 1 damage is going to destroy orange. So we're going to move down to 1 ship on orange, and then just 1 damage to the Revenant. Then we're going to go over to here, and I get to pick. No, I don't get to pick this because I'm not ahead of them. Technically, it's bottom up. So they're going to look at this, and they're going to look at where they have the least influence. So it's definitely going to be this ship. And so they're going to destroy this ship because it requires 2 damage. And so this was a real waste for me. But they have 5 in this house and only 4, or sorry, they have 4 in this house and 3 in this house. And I also have more than them in this house. So they're just going to destroy this ship, which is going to make that go down to 1. Sad times. But that's okay. That's what this game is about. And then there's only 2 more sectors. I'm going to go ahead and do this one really quickly because nothing happens there. And then actually there should be a corruption here. I'm just going to go ahead and randomly assign it to this one because they have the least. I guess it's not random, but. And then here there's just 1 damage. Boom. But there was no damage done to anyone in this, so nothing gets taken. And then we would remove all of these. And wow, I think that's the first time I've ever played a game where this never got hit that much. So that's pretty good. Okay, so that's that. And then we're going to go ahead and I even think I forgot to take off 3 Voidborn in this last little space here. Not a big deal. I think that works out pretty well, actually. I mean, I'm pretty happy with that. So now we move on to endgame scoring. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to reset this tactics track, and I am going to get 1. So I actually get 4 hidden influence, and I get to pick 1. I'm definitely not picking red. We could pick blue, and I'm thinking I'm going to pick blue because I want to try to win that. So I'm going to take that. And then we're going to look at the colony card. Oh, interesting. So the colony card doesn't happen right away. So in the rulebook, it just says you resolve the colony card. So in this one, it's going to be blue, and so it's 2 times the number of, or plus 2 points per the number of things. I don't think I get that because of not being first. So I can show you what the board looks like at the end here. So let me kind of get that shown to you. So if you can see that dark blue, he's 1 higher than me. I would have needed to go up twice on that track to kind of beat him out. And if I look at the like final scoring, they gain prestige and house influence and all of that, just like we do. And so there's not much else. And when I look at the rule book for just the base game, when it comes to final scoring, again, this is one of those things where I'm like, wish they had given a little bit more information on this. If there's a colony selected, earn the prestige shown on the conditions shown. I do wish that they had maybe given a little bit more information. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to act like I don't get those points, just because I'm not the highest on there, and I think that's what that is supposed to all be about. So I don't get those points. But then we move on, and we're going to go ahead and reveal our influence. So I do now move up once onto there, and then I go up twice onto there, and they're going to reveal the rest of theirs, and they're going to move up 2 on yellow and 1 on red. And then we're going to double check the number of ships. So it says we have 1 orange. We have 1 orange. We have 0 red. There are 0 red. We have 1 lighter blue, which is going to be here, and that's it. We have 4 purple. 1, 2, 3, 4 purple. Apparently we have 3 dark blue. So there's 1, or no, that's not 1. 1, 2. See, so we only have, I must have forgotten to update it at one point. So there's only 2 of those. Then Novaris has 1, 2, 3. Yep. And then yellow should just have 2. So 1, 2. So now we're good. So now we're going to score for this. Handy dandy score pad here, and we're just basically going to score everything. So we've got, let me, maybe I should move some of this so that way you can kind of see what I'm doing as I do it, since most of the stuff doesn't necessarily matter too much anymore. And now this is the big deal right here. Okay. So let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. Okay, that's good. All right. So let's see. We need them. Let's see, AI and me. And they are going to have 2 points, and we are going to have 2 points. So 2 points, 2 points. Red, they're going to get a whopping 0. This lighter blue, I'm going to get 2, 3, 4 points, and they're going to get 3 points. I'm going to get, now this is where I get a lot of points. I'm going to get 7 times 4. I'm going to get 28. And they're going to get 2 times 4 is 8. Then here on darker blue, we're both going to get 8 points. They're going to get 8 times 3, so they're going to get 24, unfortunately. And I'm only going to get 3 times 3, so I'm only going to get 9 there. So we kind of flip-flop there. Then we're going to look at yellow, and they're going to get 6 times 2 is 12, and I'm only going to get 4. Okay. Now we need to double check something. So I definitely have this, so I get an extra 6 points, but we got to double check because I didn't really look at this. I think we only have, no, we do have 4, we have 4 ships. So let me zoom out again just really quickly. So we've got a yellow supply, green, and then we've got the 2 here. So we do definitely satisfy that. So that's an extra 12 points for us. Awesome. And then what I'm going to go ahead and do is they don't have any secret agendas, but they do score for where they're at on the tactics track. So they're sitting at 9 right now. So that means they're going to get 3 points per thing. So it's 9 times 3. So that's 27. And then I'm going to go ahead and get points for some of the other stuff that I get, like played cards. So I have 2 protectors, or 2 cadets. So that's 2, 4. And then I've got my board here with my captain. That's fully upgraded. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So it's 10 points for that. And I don't have anything for frigates because I didn't make anything. And then I get 1 point for each of these command cards I played. I played 4, so that's another 4 points. This is going to be really close. And I also get another 4 points, or I get another point for every 4 resources. So I think that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I get another 2 points. So it's 6. And then if I had any corruption left over on my board, I would lose points. I don't, so that's 0. And so let me just tally this up really quickly. Okay, so when you county that up, 84 to 83, the AI edges me out by a singular point. Dang, that was super close. But that is Revenant solo. I have yet to try the modules, the Faith or Reason, but I really want to try that next. This is actually my first time playing the normal difficulty, but every time I play this, I want to play it again. But I'm going to say more about that later when I do a full review of the game. But if you're still sticking here, thanks for watching. Give it a thumbs up and a subscribe. If not, I'm going to hopefully see you next time.